February 25, 1957, a young boy's body was found wrapped in a plaid blanket inside a cardboard box in the woods near Susquehanna Road. The box had once held a J.C. Penney bassinet. Who was the boy, and why was he left there? February 25, 1957. A young boy's body was found wrapped in a plaid blanket inside a cardboard box in the woods off Susquehanna Road in the Fox Chase neighborhood of Philadelphia. The discovery was made by a man checking his rabbit traps. He did not report what he had found, fearing police would take his traps. A few days later, a college student noticed a rabbit running into the underbrush and stopped his car to investigate. That's when he found the boy's body. He hesitated to report it until he heard about the disappearance of Mary Jane Barker in Belmar, New Jersey. The Philadelphia Police Department opened an investigation the following day. They took the boy's fingerprints, hoping for a match, but no one came forward. The case quickly captured the public's attention. The Philadelphia Inquirer printed 400,000 flyers with the boy's likeness, distributing them across the city and even including them with every gas bill. For decades, the boy remained unidentified. His identity was finally revealed in 2022, nearly 6 decades later, through DNA and genealogical databases. But the questions surrounding his death remain unanswered. On February 25, 1957, a young boy's body was found wrapped in a plaid blanket inside a cardboard box on Susquehanna Road in Philadelphia's Fox Chase neighborhood. The discovery sparked an immediate investigation by the Philadelphia Police Department. Despite the boy's fingerprints being taken in a widespread media campaign featuring his likeness, no one came forward with information that could lead to his identification. For decades, the case remained unsolved, haunting investigators and the public alike. The mystery surrounding the boy deepened as years turned into decades. Every detail was scrutinized: the type of cardboard box, the plaid blanket, even the surgical scars on the boy's body. Despite these efforts, the boy's identity remained a puzzle. Then, in 2022, a breakthrough came. Utilizing advanced DNA technology and genealogical databases, detectives with the Philadelphia Police Department finally identified the victim as Joseph Augustus Zarelli. This revelation brought a measure of closure to a decades-old mystery, but also underscored that the case was far from over. The exact circumstances leading to Joseph's death are still uncertain, leaving investigators and the public searching for answers even after his identity was finally revealed. The cardboard box that held the boy's body was not empty when it was first made. It had once been a bassinet sold by J.C. Penney. That detail, uncovered long after the boy was found, adds an eerie layer to the discovery. A bassinet is meant for a child, alive, safe, and cradled. Instead, it became a container for a boy whose life had ended in mystery. The box was placed in the woods, wrapped in a plaid blanket, hidden from view. The choice of a bassinet, once used for a living child, raises questions that remain unanswered. What was the significance of that object to whoever placed the boy there? Did it hold any meaning? Or was it simply a container available at the time? The box, now a relic of a forgotten past, still holds no answers. The boy's body bore surgical scars on his ankle, groin, and chin, marks that suggested a history of medical intervention. Though his appearance was clean, with a recent haircut and trimmed fingernails, the scars hinted at procedures that had taken place before his death. His body also showed signs of severe physical attacks prior to death and malnourishment. The scars on his ankle and groin raised questions about the nature of those procedures. Did they relate to his health, or were they the result of something more sinister? Authorities concluded the boy was killed by blunt force trauma, but the presence of the surgical scars, along with other injuries, remains unexplained. Even now, more than 65 years after his body was discovered, the exact circumstances of his death are still unknown. The scars on his body, once overlooked, continue to hold secrets that have yet to be uncovered. For over 6 decades, the identity of the boy found in a box along Susquehanna Road remained a mystery. The Philadelphia Police Department investigated tirelessly, but no leads emerged. Flyers were printed and distributed widely, but still, no one came forward with information. The case faded from headlines, but not from the minds of those who worked on it. Then, in November 2022, detectives announced a breakthrough. Using DNA and genealogical databases, they identified the boy as Joseph Augustus Zarelli. On December 8, 2022, nearly 66 years after his body was found, Zarelli was publicly named. It was a moment of closure, but also one filled with unanswered questions. The cause of his death remains unclear, and the case is still open. Despite the identification, the exact circumstances surrounding his death are unknown. The boy in the box is no longer nameless, but the mystery of how he came to be there continues. In 2022, detectives from the Philadelphia Police Department turned to a new kind of investigation. One powered by advances in DNA technology and genealogical databases. These tools, while unimaginable in the investigative methods of 1957, provided the breakthrough that had long eluded investigators. On December 8, 2022, Joseph Augustus Zarelli was publicly identified as the boy in a box. Nearly 65 years after his body was found, this identification marked more than just a name. It offered a step toward understanding a mystery that had haunted the city for decades. Yet, even with this identification, the exact cause and circumstances of Zarelli's death remain unclear. The case remains open, but the tools used in 2022 have changed how such historical mysteries are approached. For the first time, a cold case from the mid-20th century had found a path forward. Through data, not just detective work. What happened to Joseph Augustus Zarelli before he was placed in that box is still unknown. But the methods used to find him may yet help solve other unsolved crimes of the past. On November 30th, 2022, A breakthrough emerged in the decades-old case of the boy in the box. Using DNA and genealogical databases, detectives with the Philadelphia Police Department were able to identify the young victim whose body was found off Susquehanna Road more than 65 years earlier. On December 8, 2022, the boy was officially named Joseph Augustus Zarelli. This marked a significant milestone in the case that had remained unsolved for so long. For the first time, a name was attached to the child found in the woods off Susquehanna Road. Yet, despite this progress, the exact cause and circumstances of Joseph Augustus Zarelli's death remain unknown. The Philadelphia Police Department continues its investigation into what happened to young Joseph. On December 8, 2022, the name Joseph Augustus Zarelli was spoken for the first time in more than 65 years. The boy whose body had been found in a cardboard box on Susquehanna Road in 1957 was finally given a name, a face, and a family. The identification brought long-awaited closure to the case, but the circumstances of Joseph Augustus Zarelli's death remain unknown. The Philadelphia Police Department continues its investigation into how he came to be found alone in that box. While investigators have identified Joseph, they still seek answers about who was responsible for his death and what led to that tragic outcome. The case remains open, with no resolution in sight. The discovery of Joseph Augustus Zarelli's body in 1957 sent shockwaves through Philadelphia. Found wrapped in a plaid blanket off Susquehanna Road in the Fox Chase neighborhood, the young boy bore signs of severe physical abuse and malnourishment. Surgical scars on his ankle, groin, and chin hinted at prior medical interventions or trauma. While his body had been cleaned and groomed, including a recent haircut and trimmed fingernails, the marks of neglect and violence were unmistakable. The exact circumstances leading to Zarelli's death remain unclear, and the case continues to be investigated as an open homicide. The surgical scars on Joseph Augustus Zarelli's body continue to raise questions in the case. Found on his ankle, groin, and chin, these marks suggest a history of medical procedures, though what those procedures were and who performed them remains unknown. While Joseph's identity was confirmed through DNA and genealogical databases in December 2022, the exact circumstances of his death are still unclear. The cause of Joseph's suffering before death is also unknown. Despite years of investigation by the Philadelphia Police Department, the full story of Joseph Augustus Zarelli's final moments has yet to be uncovered. The cardboard box that held Joseph Augustus Zarelli's body was not a generic container. It had once been a bassinet, a product sold by J.C. Penney. The transformation from a place meant for an infant's comfort to a cold, lifeless enclosure raises questions that still linger. What was the significance of this choice? Was it a deliberate act or a coincidence? The bassinet's original purpose seems to contrast sharply with the grim reality it later contained. This detail adds another layer to an already haunting mystery. The box, once intended for a child's early days, became the final resting place for a boy who died alone, unidentified, and forgotten for over 6 decades. The discovery of the bassinet's origin in the decades after the boy's death only deepens the enigma. It is a quiet but unsettling clue, one that continues to fuel speculation about the boy's life and the circumstances of his death. The identification of Joseph Augustus Zarelli in 2022 was a monumental breakthrough in this long unsolved case. While investigators now know who the young boy was, the exact circumstances leading to his death remain a haunting mystery. Despite the use of DNA and genealogical databases to pinpoint his identity, crucial details about his life before February 1957 are still missing. The investigation into Joseph's death is ongoing. Detectives continue to seek answers to critical questions. Who was responsible for Joseph's death? How did they come into contact with him? What happened in the days and weeks leading up to his tragic discovery on Susquehanna Road? While we now know who Joseph Augustus Zarelli was, the missing years of his life remain a painful void in this case. Philadelphia's history is filled with moments of strength and sorrow. The city has faced high crime rates and lasting poverty, issues that have influenced its legal and social systems for generations. The Philadelphia Police Department and the Court of Common Pleas continue to work toward justice, even when the odds are against them. From riots to murders, the city has seen its share of infamous cases, each leaving a lasting impact. The unsolved murder of Joseph Augustus Zarelli is one such case, a haunting reminder of the lives lost and the mysteries that remain. Decades of investigation have turned up little, but modern techniques have brought some clarity. Yet, the full story of Joseph Augustus Zarelli is still missing pieces. His death, like so many others, continues to linger in the city, a reminder of the unresolved crimes that still cast a long shadow. Even with progress, many questions remain unanswered. Joseph Augustus Zarelli's identification in 2022 through DNA and genealogical databases brought a measure of closure to a decades-old mystery. However, despite this breakthrough, the exact circumstances leading to his death remain unknown. The Philadelphia Police Department continues to investigate the case, which is still considered open and unsolved. More than 6 decades after Zarelli's body was discovered in the woods off Susquehanna Road, questions linger about how he died and who may have been responsible for his death. While the identification of Zarelli marked a significant milestone, the quest for answers in his tragic case continues. The boy's body, found wrapped in a plaid blanket, serves as a haunting reminder that justice has yet to be fully served. Joseph Augustus Zarelli was identified in 2022, yet the exact cause of his death remains unknown. The person or people responsible for his death have never been found. How did he come into contact with his killer? What led to his brutal beating and malnourishment? While surgical scars on his body offer some clues, they don't provide definitive answers. Despite decades of investigation and the use of modern forensic techniques, including DNA analysis in 2022, the case remains unsolved. The boy in the box was found in a cardboard box on February 25, 1957, but the identity of those who placed him there has never been determined. More than 60 years later, the mystery of Joseph Augustus Zarelli's final moments continues to elude investigators. Nearly 7 decades have passed since a young boy's body was discovered in a cardboard box along Susquehanna Road in Philadelphia. The chilling discovery sent shockwaves through the community and sparked an investigation that would span generations. Despite tireless efforts by the Philadelphia Police Department, the identity of the boy in the box remained a mystery for over 65 years. In 2022, a breakthrough came with the use of advanced DNA technology and genealogical databases. The boy was finally identified as Joseph Augustus Zarelli. The identification brought solace to many who had followed the case for decades. However, it also deepened the mystery surrounding his tragic death. The exact circumstances leading up to Joseph's abandonment in the woods remain unknown. Investigators continue to piece together clues from the evidence collected at the scene, including surgical scars on his body and signs of malnourishment. While Joseph Augustus Zarelli's name is now known, the question of who was responsible for his death and why continues to haunt those determined to bring justice for this innocent child. Nearly 7 decades after his body was found wrapped in a plaid blanket off Susquehanna Road, Joseph Augustus Zarelli's name finally echoed through the halls of justice. Advances in DNA technology and genealogical databases allowed detectives from the Philadelphia Police Department to identify the young victim in December 2022. Yet, the mystery surrounding his death persists. The exact circumstances leading to Zarelli's tragic end at only 4 years old remain unknown. The surgical scars on his body, signs of malnourishment, and brutal injuries offer few clues. The Philadelphia Police Department continues to investigate, seeking answers for Joseph Augustus Zarelli and justice for a life cut tragically short far too soon. If you're ready for more unanswered questions, subscribe for the next story.